What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Doubleheader with Amir Daniels and Keenan Costain. And before we jump to a featured presentation, I have two questions. Why is it stay a sea of green? And how did these players end up in the cover of Madden 1996? The answer is in this episode. All right, here we are, episode 8. Can't believe it.
Yeah, it's good to be back after a quick turnaround too. So happy to be back to talk to you, and we got some interesting teams to talk about today. An inaugural team at best.
Yeah, in fact, it's just in time for the Hall of Fame. So congrats so shout out to the class of 2024, with Dwight Freeney, Steve McMichael, Julius Peppers, who else was in that? Devin Hester, leaving out a few other guys. I don't know why, but I know it's going for us. It's going to be Andre Johnson. There's another one. He's in this class, but now we're looking forward to seeing Julius Peppers go into the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's the first Panther, full-time Panther to get inducted, and they'll be the subject of today's episode because it's going to involve how the Panthers came to be and the origin story and how they end up becoming part of the NFL in 1995. So, that being said, let's jump right into it. So, 1987, anything come to mind in that year?
Absolutely nothing to be honest. Number one, I wasn't even born in 1987. Maybe honestly, I have no idea.
Flashback to 1987, might be familiar with this man right there.
Hmm. That Jerry Richardson on the left there.
That you are correct. That is Jerry Richardson. And the man you see on his right is Mr. Hugh McCall. So one day Hugh McCall is at his headquarters at Nations Bank, doing some bank work, when all of a sudden the phone rings. Hello, who might this be? I'm Mr. Jerry Richardson, Mr. Hugh McCall, and I have a plan. I want to bring an NFL team to the Carolinas. Oh, why don't you bring you along? Thank you. Something around those lines. So, of course, Hugh McCall takes into consideration, and a few months later that summer, they reconvene in Charlotte, have a meeting, and says, Mr. Richardson, we're on board. We're gonna bring a team, our pro football team, to the Carolinas. And the reason why I bring that up because around this time, you might be familiar with this team, the Charlotte Hornets, Keenan.
Absolutely. 1988, their inaugural season. So this is a big time for the Queen City.
Definitely, and Charlotte's Carolina sports in general, in terms of the professional level, because they previously had a pro football team, are ironically enough named the Hornets, who we might bring up in a future video. But now that they're bringing a pro basketball team to the Carolinas, why not bring a pro football team? So that being said, they they agree to bring a team to the Carolinas, and then you're probably wondering why is the Kansas City here, or what's bringing to Kansas City rather. You're wondering what's the purpose of that?
Hmm.
So reason why there's a picture of Kansas City, Missouri, is that's where Richardson's son is going there to she's going there to say, hey, we need us. That's where they meet to say, we need to try and build a stadium in the Carolinas. Is the best place to do it. That being HOK in this Inc. Probably I butchered the name. I apologize for that. So that's where they make the plans for the stadium, have it built, so what it looks like for the future, and then we because at the moment we know where they're going to be playing at, we just don't know where. Is it going to be in North Carolina or South Carolina? And also, being that this is North Carolina being a basketball-based city, and South Carolina too, it's going to be how are we going to draw in the fans? Well,
Right.
Richardson has an idea. How about we have a game called the Carolinas Kickoff 1989, where we play at a neutral site, going to draw in a lot of fans, and have two teams play there. So Who do you think is going to be the future teams in the Carolinas kickoff 1989, Keenan?
Um, well, do, I, I do, I do, I do know that it's not going to be the Panthers because they're going to come a little bit later, maybe. So that's just my guess.
Oh yeah, it won't be them, but think of a team that was very popular in the NFL and like by during the 80s and overall.
Uh, is it possibly the Eagles?
That's a good guess. Eagles are a good guess.
And I'll give out one more guess. Kansas City.
And considering we mentioned them, not a bad guess either. So let's see if you were correct. All right, yeah, you got the Eagles. Okay. Then we have the Jets. Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I will say when I don't know why they chose the Eagles and Jets, other than I think because Philadelphia being a big market and the Jets being part of New York, big market, and I know the Eagles around this time they were like one of the top picks for the Super Bowl with Randall Cunningham, Reggie White, and Jerome Brown, just to name a few. And the Jets, like I said, self-explanatory. What I mentioned before, big media market. Of course, they did have Ken O'Brien on the team and Wesley Walker, just to name a few. That being said, we have our teams. We know what's going to be about. But now, got to think, when are they going to play this, and how should and where it's going to be televised? Because this again, fan base in North Carolina, not you gotta get them hooked on football, but also you want to bring this to the national audience as well. So, in predictions there, Keenan.
For the upcoming season or the game in general. I don't know what you're trying to tell me. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, the game in general.
Um, it's between these two teams that are on the screen here. I want to say it's highly competitive. Two new teams on the market. They're thinking of some other ways to you know expand the NFL and get new fans involved. So yeah, I think it's gonna be highly competitive. Uh, it's gonna be something different. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we do need to play a place to play this game, and since the stadium for the Carolinas hasn't been built yet for the professional team, they got to play it somewhere, obviously local to the Carolinas. So you have an idea where they might play this game? I think college.
Um, um, I'm gonna say Raleigh because I know Charlotte, North Carolina does not have a stadium built yet.
Let's see. Oh, I think you might have got your answer. You should be familiar with this college,
NC State University, the Wolfpack.
which is located in
Drum roll, please.
Raleigh, North Carolina. So of course, you got her site. You got a big stadium. So, of course, you need a big stadium to we want to have a big audience. And speaking of big audience, you got think of a big network. Do you think what network do you think they want to broadcast this game on?
Um, maybe Fox Sports, CBS. Those are
Well,
pretty
CBS is
big
not a bad
networks.
idea because they do have Pat Summerall and John Madden. Fox at this time was also going through its early stages, so not quite. But let's think of a place that's known as the worldwide leader in sports.
Oh, ESPN, ESPN.
Yep, there we go. And here they are, Mr. Jew. You might be familiar with this guy right here. That's for this little. That was supposed to be down. Ignore that little black mark right below his chin.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's Joe Theismann and Mike Patrick. Patrick on the left, Theismann on the right. They were, yeah, they were. So keep in mind at this time, ESPN had just done their 2 years in doing the NFL Sunday night package, started in 1987. In the early stages, they had Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann, and you want to basically you got a chance to play on Sunday night. That was your chance to make a name for yourself outside of Monday Night Football. Because again, NFL at this time only had like really two primetime packages. I mean, they had Thursday Night Football, but not chasing where it is now. That being said, smart move to have his game broadcast on ESPN because ESPN's ups, I'm not coming upward. That's where they broadcast the national games of the week for college football, and NFL's got the Sunday night package. So what better place to do it?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Definitely. So we got the teams, got the site, got the network. Now will fans show up?
I hope so.
I hope so too, because Richardson's putting a lot of time and money into this, and he's got the people to support. Now we gotta bring in the fans. So let's see here. Okay, so you got pregame notes, so that looks good. So come August of 1989, Jets and Eagles arrive at the stadium, and want to take a guess on how many people attended this game?
I'm gonna say, hmm, well, it's a stadium, so it could hold a lot of people. Uh, I'm gonna say around 75 to 80,000 fans.
Well, that's not a bad guess. I mean, that stadiums do hold a lot of people, but according to what I read from this game program right here, I'll show it to the screen. It had 52,855 people, which not close to what you say. It may not sound a lot, but at the time, that was a record for Carver Finley Stadium.
Hmm. Yeah. What is the capacity of that NC State stadium? I don't know what the name of the stadium is called yet, but do you happen to know
Uh,
that answer?
I'll look it up right now. Let's see,
The what is
56,919. So yeah, that,
Okay, so I was only 20,000 off. I mean, you never know.
yeah. But then again, it's still a big stadium to host an NFL game. I mean, keep in mind this is a college stadium too, but still. So that being said, bringing the got, like I said, got the team, got the fans, got the TV network, and of course, got to have a special guest involved. Ain't you, Mr. Weeb Eubank? Are you familiar with that name?
No, I am not, but I bet there's more to the story though.
Well, Weeb Eubank was the head coach of the Jets when they won their only Super Bowl back in 1969. And of course, by this point, he's retired in the Hall of Fame, and they figured, well, to kick off the, for our pregame note festivities, why not have him put the ceremonial coin toss? And while this is not the actual coin, I mean, it's only fitting that we use a North Carolina-based coin because it's being played in North Carolina. And also, for all the fans that attended that game, you guys will get a free souvenir. You make of that.
Huh, that's pretty cool. It's got the North Carolina, logo on there, the state logo and the NFL logo. So what's not what's not to like, right?
Oh, you're right about that. And what was that other thing I had? I also had another artifact, but I can't find it at the moment. And it's a bit very. Ah, well, yeah. That's another. We'll just have to forget about it for now. But anywho, so now we have all right. Got the pregame show. Pregame. All right. Got the stadium. Got the fans. Got got the announcers, and we got the pregame stuff done. Now it's game time. So any predictions for the game or first half rather?
First half will be 14-7. Eagles will be up on top. Um, that's my only prediction.
All right. Well, let's see. All right. See plenty of Eagles, so it looks like the predictions on point. We got plenty of Jets. Okay, so we should have a lot of points. Let me look through my notes here and okay. Well, all right. So you were correct. So Eagles start the first half with Randall Cunningham, plays the whole first half and leads on a touchdown drive scored by this guy, Anthony Tony. And Zendejas kicks a field goal to give him 10 points. So you were close. Instead of 14, they scored 10, but they would have the lead at halftime. As for the Jets, Pat Leahy was the only guy who scored points for them on a field goal. And as for this guy, Eric McCown, he did have an interception that stopped an Eagles scoring drive. And then this man here, Pat Ryan, he started majority of the first half, but left the game due to a wrist injury. So it's definitely a lot of action in the first half. The score might say otherwise.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, are you familiar with anybody that I mentioned here, Keenan?
Uh, no, I am not. I know
Oh,
I'm probably gonna say it a lot this episode, but it's interesting to learn about. Like I said in the last episode.
well, I'm familiar with just about everyone on this page, especially Randall Cunningham, 'cause he was one of the big stars in
Okay,
the NFL at this point.
okay, maybe Randall Cunningham. Actually,
Mhm.
you said that person's name, so I am familiar with him. Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Tony was their fullback at the time, and Zendejas, I know he had a journeyman career. He was with the Eagles and the Cowboys, and also had a brother also played in the NFL. And as for these guys, yeah, Pat Lee, I know he was with the Jets at this point, and there was Pat Ryan, Eric McCown, somewhat familiar with him, but just yeah, for the most part, yeah, everyone should know who this man is right here, Randall Cunningham, because he was again
You're
the
right.
big
Right.
quarterback of the time. So
Yep. It
again,
took me a minute to figure that out. So.
hmm so anywho, so we got the first half is out of the books, so or in the books, excuse me. How about any predictions for the second half?
Um, I think it's gonna be close. And like I said in my pre predictions before we got started, close, competitive. Um, I mean, what more can you say, right?
Oh yeah, I mean they come got it. We want to give him first impression why we want to bring the pro football to Charlotte. Let's give him a close game. Maybe the one that comes down to the wire. So let's see how the second half plays out. Sure. Okay, see some more Eagles. That's good. And two more Jets. So it's all right. Let's see what happened here. Okay, let's see. Well, from what I'm reading here, the second half was dominated by the Jets. So, A.D. Brown, who you don't see here, he scored a touchdown that would pull them within one, but Mr. Rome Brown, who you see here, blocked the extra point. But the Jets would score again when this man right here, Jackie Walker, he scored a go-ahead touchdown that gave the Jets the lead, and then they went on to win 19 to 10, outscoring the Eagles 9-0 in the second half. Excuse me, 16-0 in the second half, led by this man. What is your name? Ron Brown. Jack Jackie Walker. Where are you? Where is it? Well, this backup quarterback, I think that's not is
Actually,
not.
I will put a note, inside here for that person's name who wore number 15.
Oh, yeah, not that's Don McPherson who played for the Eagles in the second half. I thought I had this guy's name written. Oh, Mackey. There you go. Kyle Mackey. He
Okay.
played the second half for the Jets. I knew I had your name written down on here. And you're wondering why Jackie Walker is wearing a Bucks uniform. Well, he ended up not making the Eagles Jets final roster that year and ended up playing for the Bucks afterwards. So that's why he's wearing. Only photo I could find him was with the as a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There is no footage of this preseason game known to existence at the moment. Then again, World of Blast Media might someone might release it on YouTube right after we release this episode, you know how it is. But most of the part I had to rely on old like looking at old newspapers on the internet to find sources on this game. But that being said, it turned out to be a success. Fans are saying, all right, big turnout, got two teams. Looks like I'm saying the future of Carolina sports is looking bright, Keenan.
Absolutely. And quick question: was the Eagles established in 1989, or was it much earlier than that, or was it?
Oh no, the Eagles came about in 1933 and the Jets
Oh,
also in 1960.
oh, that's right. I knew that. So, I feel so. Yeah.
Yeah, just of course, just again, it's like you gotta have they want to have two established teams, and two markets who play in North Carolina, and they got their money's worth.
Right, and Jerry
Still,
Richardson came into play with that and wanted to say, "Hey, I want to have a team here, and how about we do this exhibition matchup between these two?" So,
mhm. And speaking of which, you know, they actually brought the Carolina kickoff two more times, and both of them were successes. And you should be familiar with the stadium right here.
yes, yes, I am familiar with that stadium, Keenan Stadium, actually.
Yeah, and it's yep, Kenan Stadium, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and then on the left, um, that is William Bryce Stadium. That's home of the Gamecocks. And you're probably wondering why you see the Falcons and Washington Jets again. Well, they were participants in the follow-up Carolina kickoffs. And here are the crowds for that game. For Kenan Memorial Stadium, 52,036 in 1990, and for William Bryce, 69,117. So big sellouts once again.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we move on, my name is spelled with two e's, and that stadium is spelled with one e, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, 1E. And yeah, and a big stadium as well. Both big sellouts, as I might add. And I've been to that stadium for a football game. Anyway, enough about me. As for the game, in 91 between the Jet, actually, in 1990 between Atlanta and Washington, Atlanta won 31 to 27. And you're wondering, here's a quick fact that I remember reading years ago. I heard that before the Panthers came along, there was a big we had a North Carolina big following with Washington Redskin fans, and yes, I want to say their names, different times, different place, people. So, because you think about it, Virginia is located above North Carolina, and where the Redskins play and practice, so that makes sense. And as for the Falcons, with the I-85 rivalry, well, Georgia's not far from North Carolina, and that's why they were playing in that game. And of course, 1 year later, the Jets played the second game against Washington, and with them coming out on top 13-9 and William Bryce. So three Carolina kickoffs, three successes, which means in 2 years' time, in 1993, this happened.
Ah, okay. We have a new team in the NFL now.
Yep, Mr. Richardson, that phone call you placed eight years ago, telling the hey, Mr. McCall, I have a plan. I'm going to bring a football team to North Carolina. Well, it's become a reality. Not only that, got some company, Panthers. There's a team in Jacksonville that has a football team, and you'll be facing them in 2 years' time in 1995. And that will be the subject of your story, Keenan, when we return after the break.
You're listening to Double Header. Be sure to like and subscribe. All right, folks, welcome back. So we talked about the Eagles' 1989 game that happened in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now with this one, we got the Carolina Panthers versus Jacksonville Jaguars 1995, where Mr. Jerry Richardson, hey, got a team in the Carolinas. So Amir, any predictions with this matchup right here?
Well, it's gonna I'm gonna sense a lot of nerves because this is the first time these both teams have played as a team. It took. I know it's also gonna be exciting because finally two visions are coming true: football in the Carolinas and football in Jacksonville. And these two guys right here.
And that's a perfect segue into it. With the ticket and all,
Hmm.
and when I was doing research for this game, I was seeing a lot of advertisements and a whole lot of memorabilia, as they like to say. So, with that being said, we got a backstory first of all between the two teams. So, in 1993, the Carolina Panthers were selected as the 29th franchise of the National Football League. The expansion teams had to pick a minimum of 30 and a maximum of 42 players. Each time an expansion team selected a player from a team, that team then projected one of its remaining players on its expansion list. And again, this is all comes down to the expansion draft that they do, and the NBA does this too, and the MLB probably does this, but I'm not entirely sure. But anywho, back to the story at hand. So with Jacksonville was founded on November 30th, 1993, and which is the 30th and final team implemented in the NFL. So in 1995, Jacksonville was also a part of the expansion draft with the Carolina Panthers. And again, the expansion teams had to pick a minimum of 30 and a maximum of 42 players. Each time, an expansion team selected a player from a team. That team then protected one of its remaining players on its expansion list. So, Amir, for those of you who don't know the expansion draft or the expansion teams, however, can you go ahead and explain what that is?
Yeah, expansion draft consists of players who were left unprotected by their teams prior to that draft, and therefore that with those basically allowed the teams to that being Jaguars and Panthers select those players. And this was actually a smart move by the NFL because they wanted to make sure that they had plenty of players to select from, and also axe the free agency because that wasn't around for other expansion teams prior to them, like the Bucks, the Seahawks, the Saints, just to name a few. And also going back to the draft, Pan- the Jaguars won the expansion draft coin flip, which allowed them to pick first in that draft, whereas the Panthers were to pick first in the college draft.
Right, right. And I was doing research on that too when I ran across a video of a video explaining, how the expansion draft worked between those two teams, and it was quite interesting to see because, you never know what you could find from deep in the archives. So that was pretty cool in itself. And I'll put a link in the description box down below, actually, if you want to check that video out. So
Hmm.
without further ado, we got the pregame notes for this. So in 1995, the Carolina Panthers and Jacksonville Jags were the newest team. So the matchup took place on July 29th, 1995 in Canton, Ohio, and the projected audience is the 24,725, which is the Hall of Fame record according to Jacksonville Jaguars website. And Amir, we see a familiar face, Al Michaels.
Yeah.
What do you know about him?
Well, by this point, he's been doing NFL Monday Night Football on ABC in this case for almost a decade at this point. So he's definitely made a name for himself. Made a name for himself by now. And who better to start? Like, who wouldn't want to be? Oh, excuse me, you're the Jaguars and Panthers. Like, anyone call our first game? He's the guy to do it.
Yeah, and, are you familiar with Frank Guilford at all, Amir? Who was the second commentator, in this game?
Yes, I am. In fact, was also a member of the Hall of Fame, class of 19, I believe 71, if my memory serves, or no, 77. And of course, by that point, at this time, he's also been part of ABC Sports and Monday Night Football for 2 decades. So, got two Hall of Fame broadcasters calling two expansion teams. And like I said, your Jaguars and Panthers got off to a good start. Got two legends calling your first game.
Absolutely. And so for the quarterbacks for this game, we have Steve Berlin, excuse me if I'm saying that correctly, and quarterback for Carolina is Frank Wright. Well, let's back up for a second. Frank Wright, wasn't he the first quarterback for the Carolina Panthers in general? Or, I mean, so Amir, do you happen to
He
know?
he would be, and yeah. By the way, Panther fans, is that same Frank Reich who was the coach last season. And speaking of going back to his playing career, he was member of the Bills from 1985 to 94 before being selected by the Panthers in the expansion draft. And as for Steve Berline, he was a member of the Cowboys where he won a Super Bowl ring in 92, or he spent the year with the Arizona Cardinals for becoming the Jaguars' first pick in the expansion draft.
Right, and Steve Berlin, if I'm not mistaken, was able to play actually. Actually, that's later in my notes, actually, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, we got some pregame notes, and I think we touched base on that pretty well. So without further ado, the matchup. And like you said, Amir, I saw the game ticket, and we have this interesting poster right here. Let me see if I can make a little note of that. So, uh, pardon my my skills with the highlighter, but anyway, but going forward, so Jacksonville. Oh, 1 second. Before we jump any further, any predictions?
I say I had the Panthers winning a close game, 21-17. But the Jaguars are gonna m- cut it close to even get to the goal line, trying to make something happen.
That's a good prediction, and good thing I clicked away before you were able to see the next slide. So
Mhm.
so thank goodness for that. But anywho, now we can get to the notes here for the Panthers and Jaguars. So the Jacksonville scores a touchdown off a punt return to make it 7-0. Okay. Carolina was able to make it downfield late in the first and into the second, which ended up uh, a missed field goal for John Casey. Now, John Casey, Amir, played with the Panthers for a long time. What do you think of John Casey's game and what he's brought to the Panthers as a player?
Well, he was picked up from the Seahawks in the expansion draft. Many people forget about that. He used to play for Seattle back prior to being a Panther, and would stay with the team all the way to like 2010. So he had a long career, as is the case with many kickers.
Yeah, and I do remember a certain game where I think it was against the Vikings, maybe in the 2000s somewhere, like probably like 09 or 10, where he missed a potential game-winning field goal, and I would never forget it. Do you happen to remember what I'm trying to talk about?
think you, I think I do. I think it was the Browns game of 2010. I remember
That's
that he had a
right.
chance
Yeah,
to.
I don't know why the Seahawks. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Because yeah, it was the Cleveland Browns versus the Panthers in 2010.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Cleveland Browns at that time were going through a rough patch, and so was Carolina during that time. So
Hmm.
with their records and stuff. But anywho, um, so back to this team in general. So we have a missed field goal for John Casey from 51 yards out. But however, Carolina was to keep Jacksonville from driving down the field with around 9 minutes to go in the second. So hey, Carolina Panthers defense came through, and one guy in particular I did not put in here that might have played a factor in their defensive scheme was Sam Mills. Now, my next question, Sam Mills. What's the first name that comes to mind, Amir?
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. That's right. You know, he thought of the slogan, and we as Panthers fans today still use that slogan. If we want to win games, if we want to compete. So, and he has his own statue. I don't know where that statue is located, but Amir, I bet you can help me out on this too.
Yeah, it's located outside Bank of America Stadium, right as you approach Mint Street. You'll should be able
That's
to see it.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I didn't know I knew it was in Detroit somewhere, but I just didn't know where exactly what was located. So, hey, if you're a Panthers fan and want to check out Sam Mills, that's the place where you got to go. So, anywho, we have the where are we? At Jacksonville's 17-yard line, Reich throws a pass to Bobby Christensen and puts Carolina on the board. Okay, looking good for Mr. Frank Wright, and he was able to, you know, find the end zone. And I believe I do have a. I don't think I have a. I don't have a clip here, but no, I do not. I do not have a clip here, but I do have a clip for another bullet point later on. But so we have that with the tie or with the score rather. So after the Panthers scored, Jacksonville was driving downfield, but later Mark Burnell was throws a pick six to a Panthers defender and takes it to the house. And with this one, I do believe I do have a clip, and we're gonna take a look and see if there is a. We're gonna take a look and see the audio clip. Okay, here we go.
Second and 6 now for the Jacksonville Jaguars at the 22. The game tied 7-7. 4:20 to go in the first half in Canton, Ohio. Mark Brunell throws off his back foot, has it picked off, intercepted by Tyrone Poole, one of the Panthers' #1 draft choices. And Tyrone Poole from Fort Valley State takes it all the way into the end zone for a touchdown.
All right, so like what Al Michael said, it was an interception. Took it to the house, and Markel Poole, if I'm saying that correctly, was able to find the end zone, and boom, here we go. Got the momentum now. So the rest of the half would consist of flags and penalties throughout, and once it reached halftime, the score was Carolina 14, Jacksonville 7. So Amir, got any more predictions?
Well, I like I said, looks Panthers got to a slow start, but took the lead. As for Jacksonville, I will say offense that can move the ball down the field, but they can stop too many turnovers and shoots out on the field. I think they can make this game a competitive one, or even take the lead in the second half.
That's a good prediction. So,
Mm.
excuse me. So Jacksonville was able to march down the field on the opening drive, and is it Berlin? If I'm saying that right, Berlin.
Berline.
Berline, excuse me, Berline. Yep, was able to throw it down halfway down the field, starting at the 50-yard line, and was able to make his target at the 1-yard line. And it was chosen to be reviewed, however, and was indeed a catch at the goal line. So Jacksonville was able to score the touchdown to make it a 14-14 tie, okay, with 9:51 left in third. And here is the call where Al Michaels made that call.
Here's Berline throwing deep, and it is caught at the 1-yard line. Jimmy Smith somehow comes up with a football.
So Jimmy Smith was the target and was able to convert on that play. And man, just looking back at that, play in real time while doing research for this. What a catch and what a throw by Burline. So with that, the Panthers were able to hold on. The Panthers were able to make it a 17-14 lead after a field goal kicked by John Casey. So John Casey was able to redeem himself later on at the beginning of the fourth. So the Panthers defense was great against Jacksonville. They're able to get the ball back. And later in the drive, once again, John Casey was able to make a field goal to make it a 6-point lead with about 3 minutes left in the fourth. And there's more to this story, Amir. Any more predictions?
Well, Jacksonville, you're still in the game. Take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it. Let's see if you are correct. Let's see what happens. So Jacksonville was able to make one last push with Burnell leading the way with under 2 minutes to go. And Burnell takes a shot around the Carolina 15, incomplete pass. And with that, I'll let Al Michaels take it from here with the final plays of the game.
At the 15-yard line, 4th and 6. They blitz from the corner. The pass is complete. It is caught by Derek Brown. He takes it to the 4. It'll be 1st and goal. So 1 timeout remaining now for the Jaguars. It'll be 1st and goal inside the 4-yard line. 1:21 remaining, 4th quarter. The Panthers leading by 6. Again, he was going for Derek Brown, who's become his man on this drive. Derek Brown would have. 2nd down goal, 1:17 to play. Keep it on the ground. Stewart fights his way inside the 2-yard line. 3rd and goal upcoming. And Jacksonville will take its final timeout. Tyrone Rogers and Mark Thomas making the tackle. So 3rd down and goal from just inside the 2-yard line. 3rd down and goal from just inside the 2.
David Selden with Mercury.
Jacksonville down by 6, and it's wafted out of the end zone. Little timing play, but John Morton would have had to have been about 9 feet 7 to make the catch. 4th down. So it's 4th down and goal. Jacksonville down by 6. Burnell under center. Throws into the end zone. Incomplete at the goal line. Steve Lofton, the defensive back with the coverage on the play. Intended for Mike Williams.
So, Amir, a lot happened in those last few clips. What are your initial thoughts?
Definitely have me on the edge of my seat. 'Cause it's like, are they going to get in, not being the Jaguar, or are the Panthers going to stop them? And to their credit, I'll give Burnell credit. He was able to lead them down bounce back from our pick 6 earlier in the game, and then lead them back down the field later in the 4th quarter inside the red zone to put them in position to win that game. But also the Panthers' defense, that's where they came up big and in their first game ever, and that was their identity for their first few years in existence was defense, and it was established on that play. And same to say with the Jaguars in terms of their offense, because that was their identity during their first 3 years of existence with Brunell, Jimmy Smith, and then later down the road with Keenan McCardell and Fred Taylor.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, in conclusion, let's see the end result here. So, the conclusion. So we have, with that being the case, like you said, had to get out of their own end zone, from the turnover on downs. So it was a good stop by Carolina, and it was indeed successful. And I'll let Al Michaels once again give his thoughts about these two teams.
And that will do it. Clock will run out from here. Well, a highly competitive game. I think both teams will be relatively happy, all things considered. He's showing enough things to build on, and there it was, the NFL debut of the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the Panthers winning it 20-14.
So, like Al Michael said, 20-14 was the final score. Highly competitive. So Amir, I give you props. You were right on the money.
Yep, and I agree with you there, and thank you, Keenan. And I also agree with Al Michaels about these two teams will be competitive for years on end. And he was right because 1 year later, both these teams are playing in the conference championship games. At, that was a very quick turnaround for expansion teams. It takes them a few years to start contending, and then hits the Jaguars and the Panthers next year, one game away from the Super Bowl. And also, let's man cover this thing, Madden 96.
Yeah, and the Madden 96, and that's the EA Sports Madden 96, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep, and a quick story about this. That was taken from the photo. Can't really, not sure if you can see it that
Yep,
real well,
yep,
you in the audience.
yeah. I can see it now. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So that was Kerry Brabham. He was a safety for the Panthers, and tackling Gordon Largo or Loro, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. So if I butcher it, my apologies. During the second quarter of that game, and lo and behold, some photographer took a picture of it, made the cover of Madden, and so and people are wondering like who these two guys are because unfortunately as was the case with the Eagles Jets game I mentioned earlier with Jackie Walker, these two didn't end up making the Panthers and Jaguars final rosters. But they'll forever be known as the two men on the Madden 96 cover. So this game, while being a preseason game, has had a lot of history and a lot of or excuse me, made a lot of history, I should say.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So with that, we're gonna go over some stats here when it comes to the two teams that just played. So with that, so here's the breakdown. Here's the stats overall between the two clubs that just played. So Amir, what do you like? What do you see? What do you like? What do you think? Um, when it comes to these stats?
I'll say pretty close for both teams, but I feel like the one that really stands out is the turnovers and interceptions. I mean, Panthers intercepting two passes, including taking one to the house, which I really feel like was the really decided this game.
Yeah, I agree. The punts were is pretty even. Fumbles lost is two. 2-0 for Carolina and 2-2 for Jacksonville. And I think the biggest factor that how Carolina won this game was time of possession. You know, a little over 3 minutes more than Jacksonville had the football. So I think that's what played a big factor in the key win. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, and John Capers would be very proud, head coach of the Panthers, proud that his team was able to, while they didn't have a big day offensively, they were able to keep the ball and keep it out of possession in the Jaguars' hands. Whereas the Jaguars, when they put up the stats, they weren't able to, had to make up for lost time, which is why they came up short in the end. Which I know Tom Coughlin's going to definitely address the turnovers because he was very big turn as is every coach. So if you turn the ball over, you lose the game. And again, and also you're a young team, so teams are gonna be these veteran teams are gonna be looking to looking for an edge against us, and they don't want to give them the blueprint. And that name Tom Coughlin should sound familiar.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin, who played for or he coached rather for the New York Giants for a long time. So
Yep. And many people remember his days from the Giants, but people forget he was the first head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
yep, Yep, and going back to that video where Tom Coughlin did an interview for that for that segment, and like I said, I'll put in the link in the description box down below for sure. So up next we have the player stats. Okay, so we had we had plenty of what's the word? Plenty of I can't
Rust?
think of the word, but
Rust?
trust
Rust.
uh sizes. We had like sample sizes. Yeah,
Oh, essentially, yeah.
yeah, sample sizes of of quarterbacks that played. So when it came to these player stats that you see on screen, what stands out?
Well, I will say limited playing time 'cause again, this is a preseason game, so they're trying to see like who's going to be their quarterback opening day and beyond. So it's going to be some, not a lot of big stats. A bit of rust. They hadn't played in a while. In the case of Collins being a rookie, going to be some nerves because Collins was the first player taken overall in that draft. And I also recognize this name, Mr. Jack Trudeau, who played for the Panthers, who you might remember him from our first episode. He was
Right.
signed with the Colts.
Yep. And I'll put the link. I'll put a card in the upper right hand corner of your screen right now.
hmm And I look at Brunell's stats, and while I didn't, and Berline as well, I can tell he had most out of his 9 pass attempts, I will say, 108 yards. But actually, Brunell, well, I can tell was definitely going to be the guy for the future because they picked him up from the Green Bay Packers practice squad. He backed up Brett Favre, and he really, again, stats don't show it, but he really made a name for himself out there with his scrambling ability, which set him apart from Steve Berline, was more of your traditional pocket passer.
Yeah. And you said that about Jacksonville. I kind of lost you here. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Jacksonville. Sorry, I bounced around between the two quarterbacks.
Okay.
Yeah. As
So
for Carey, oh sorry, let's go ahead.
no, go. Yeah, I'm good. Go ahead.
Yeah, as for Carey, I can tell definitely from when I looked at it, I can see why they went for Frank at first for the Panthers. Veteran quarterback. As for Carey, he's not a rookie, but as time went on, Carey took over the reins, and then Frank and was one who led the Panthers to the conference championship game the following year as a Brunel for the Jaguars. And also, speaking of which, the '96 team, Steve Berlin ended up playing for the Panthers the following year after being cut by Jacksonville.
That's right. I remember seeing that in the video. The video I did research on, and definitely made sense. And it was actually eye opening for me while doing research for this. So, what took place after the Hall of Fame game for these two teams? So, well, Jacksonville was able to ready to take on its first inaugural season with Mark Burnell, Steve. I can't say that last name for some reason today.
Berlin.
Burline. Yeah, Burline and Rob Johnson. And Mark Burnell will play the most for the team, playing in 13 games and starting in 10 of them. So Mark Burnell stats were this: 201 for 346 passing, 58.1% completion percentage, 2,168 yards, 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So that's not too bad. What do you think?
Yep, decent numbers for a first year starting QB.
All right. So they finished up with the record, however, with a 4-12, being the teams of the Houston Oilers at the time, not the Texans, folks. They will come later on, and the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns twice, one on the road and one at home. So hey, once Cleveland was on the schedule, they were ready to go.
Yeah, because at this time there was no AFC South, so they were playing the same division as the Steelers and the Browns. So that's why they played the Browns twice that year, and they even had Steelers numbers early on in their early days. And then of course Houston was also about to move to, or was about to move to Tennessee. So that's Titans hadn't entered the picture just yet, but yeah, they doing there and beating the Oilers. during the Oilers' later days in Houston.
Yeah, the '90s was an interesting time for the NFL, for sure. Nothing. It's nothing like it is today with all the expansion teams and what have you. But Mark Burnell playing with the most of the games for the team. So I have a few facts for him. So Burnell was able to play 18 seasons in the NFL. So like I said earlier, Mayor, he was able to have a long career. And Burnell was able to win that Super Bowl in '09, backing up Drew Brees. So you're right there. So Burnell is currently the quarterback coach for the Detroit Lions, which he started in 2021. So if you want to know what he's up to now, he's with the Detroit Lions as of this recording. So yeah, that's a few stats. And is there any other stats that you might know about, or is there anything on the screen that pops right at you?
Well, it's uh, yeah, I will mention also Brain, one else about being from the Jaguars. Jimmy Smith, who caught a pass in that game, he would be ended up becoming the Jaguars' all-time leader in receiving yards and receptions. And one guy we didn't point out was Tony Baselli, their offensive tackle, their first overall pick from the draft. He would end up making the Hall of Fame in class of 2021, 22, excuse me, alongside Sam Mills of the Panthers. So we had two future Hall of Famers playing at Boston Stadium in Canton, Ohio that day in July of 1995.
Yep, that's a good point. That's a good point that I didn't put in this story. But moving on to the team that was able to come up on top, how did they do after the Hall of Fame game? Well, as for the Panthers winning the Hall of Fame, they were optimistic entering their first season as well, with with quarterbacks Kerry Collins, Frank Wright, and Jack Trudeau. So Kerry Collins played the most for the team, playing 15 games, starting in 13 of them. So his stats are this: 214 for 433 passing, 49.4 completion percentage, 2,717 yards, 14 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. So, hey, um, he went for it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, as a rookie, you're gonna be a lot of rust and experience and taking a lot of risky decisions, but also periods of success.
For sure. And look at this next bullet point. Panthers were able to finish a record of 7-9 after starting off the season. I'm not kidding, folks. 0-5 and winning their next four opponents after that. So pretty impressive on itself. So,
Hmm.
but later on, it was pretty much a seesaw back and forth between winning and losing. It's like you said, with Kerry Collins, um, holding down the fort for you. Like I said, a lot of ups and downs you know and stuff like that. So with that, Kieran Collins was able to play in 16 seasons in the NFL, retiring in 2011. Collins, however, getting a Super Bowl win, was able to be a Pro Bowl player twice in his career throughout his career, and throughout his career overall, he was able to play with noble teams for a period of time, with the Panthers from '95 to '98, the Giants from '99 to 2003, and the Titans from 2006 to 2010. So, hey, from both quarterback standpoints, from both teams, pretty pretty good. I like how they were able to stay, for a long time.
Definitely. And getting back to Mark Brunell, I know he said the Jaguars to two conference championship games and played from through '03 and then went from with Redskins, just going to use that name again. Of course, winning Super Bowl with the Saints and then playing one last season with the Jets. And he was a member of their most recent playoff team, the one that made it to the championship game in 2010 with Mark Sanchez. As for Terry Collins, he mentioned two Pro Bowls, made one the second year with the Panthers when they made the championship game, and also made one with the Titans when they won 13 games in 2008. As for his lone Super Bowl appearance, that 2000 one appearance with the Giants. Yeah, he and the Giants offense had a rough game against the historic Ravens defense, but and then of course played one more season 2011 with the Colts where he was filling stood in time, filling very the injured Peyton Manning, but overall pretty good careers from Kerry and Mark.
Yep, definitely. So with that, I will be stop sharing my screen, and that is the end of my story. And with that, uh, that was a pretty interesting, look back at teams that played in the state of North Carolina. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and also expansion teams as well, because again, we're no, we it was going to be a darn, my brain's moving a million miles an hour. I was looking forward to doing this one because I had never writing about this a few years back, and of course, learning about the history of North Carolina sports and Panthers being a big part of it. And of course, one of their players going in the Hall of Fame this year, Julius Peppers, along with names like Dwight Freeney, Devin Hester, Randy Gradishar, Steve McMichael, Patrick Willis, and leaving anyone else out, Andre Johnson. So if I left those three names out earlier, it's just a lot going on here, people. But anywho, nailed it this time. So congrats to them making the Hall of Fame. And as for the Panthers and the Jaguars, period success, but and unfortunately some dark times. But things are looking up for Jacksonville. We'll see how things turn out for the Panthers in this day and age.
Yeah, and we'll get to those 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 two teams soon, later down the road for sure. And with that, I got nothing else. And so if you like what you see, folks, feel free to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Comment down below. Let us know what you think. And with that, Amir, you have a article on this game. So I'll put that in the description down below, and I'll put a link to your website into mine. And be sure to follow our Instagram page, Doubleheader, and our Spotify account as well. With that being said, this is Tina Costain, Amir Daniels with Doubleheader, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Yep,
Bye, folks.
and also before you sign off, happy 30 years to the Jaguars and the Panthers.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, we'll take you. Excuse me. We'll see you guys next time. And Amir, before we sign off as well, we're gonna take another short break here. Um, I know you're gonna go on a little vacation with your family, so enjoy that while you're away. And don't worry, we're still gonna be working on some stuff for you. And I just want to make that quick announcement before we sign off.
Yeah, thank you. And also for everyone, enjoy, also keep in mind the Olympics are coming up, so enjoy. Hope you all enjoy that. And NFL season is fast approaching, and we'll be releasing a lot more content during the season. And I'm looking forward to sharing with all y'all, with everyone, excuse me.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, this has been Doubleheader, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, folks.
And see y'all next time.